Last 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Ever since I ordered the dissolution of the Lok Sabha in August this year, my government, in consultation with the state government and the Chief Election Commissioner, have been engaged in preparations for holding a countrywide poll for the Lok Sabha. In a few days, the Chief Election Commissioner will be formally announcing the poll schedule. Everything that is possible is being done to conduct the elections in an orderly and impartial manner. The magnitude and complexity of such a vast exercise is not without its problems. I am nevertheless determined that none of these problems will be allowed to stand in the way of holding a fair and free poll. All political parties have expressed themselves in favor of an orderly poll. There is no reason whatsoever for a reasonable person to contemplate that the elections will be postponed on one ground or the other. I would like to appeal to all the people in the country not to give credence to rumors which suggest that a postponement of the elections is imminent. Such propaganda ill conceived to and serves no purpose other than to create confusion. It is duty of each one of us as conscientious and law-abiding citizens of this great country to discredit such unfortunate gossip. The elections will give our people an opportunity to elect their representatives to Parliament, which is supreme in all matters affecting the welfare and well-being of our nation. The elections will also give our people the opportunity of looking at programs for the common good put forward by contending political parties, and out of these elect those which in their opinion will do the greatest good to the largest number. A stable government with clear cut policies and time bound programs of action is essential if we are to advance significantly along a broad socio-economic front in the shortest time possible. A great and heavy responsibility is therefore cast on each voter while exercising his or her franchise. During our struggle for independence, we dreamt of a free India marching towards progress and prosperity through peaceful democratic means. The founding fathers of our constitution, with whom I had the privilege of being associated as a member of the Constituent Assembly, crystallized this vision into an assertion of the supreme will of our people and enshrined it in the preamble to our Constitution. We are pledged to democratic way only. Since I spoke to you last in October this year, a significant stage in the election process has been completed. The contending political parties have put out their election manifestos and have fielded their candidates. We are ready for the poll. It is now for you to exercise your sovereign right as voters and express your preference for programs and individual candidates who will ultimately reflect your will in Parliament. The ensuing elections will give you an opportunity to put into positions of trust and responsibility for the next 5 years persons of character and integrity and a good record for public service. During the struggle for independence, our goal was freedom from the foreign rule. Having achieved this objective, we decided that democratic way of life is most suitable to our ancient culture, our rich traditions, and the genius of our people. For 32 years since independence, we have worked hard to build, preserve, and maintain our way of life. We have achieved in this vast country a measure of unity in diversity for which we are respected. We are the world's largest democracy and can hold our heads high in the committee of nations because of the dignity we command on this account. As we look upon the world scene today, we see the severe strain which the democratic way of life is being subjected to all round us. The world watches us not without some apprehension as we prepare to go to the polls. I am confident that our people, as in the past, discharge the heavy responsibility cast on them with maturity and objectivity. This will prove to world community and to ourselves that our faith in democracy remains unshaken. Election campaigns do necessarily raise controversy and tempers are occasionally frayed. I appeal to you, my countrymen, not to do anything by word or deed which will tarnish the fine reputation we have built for ourselves as a mature nation. Public conduct so far has been exemplary and our people have been acting with commendable restraint and civic sense. We need to hold the coming elections in a peaceful and orderly manner so that every voter is allowed to exercise his or her franchise out of free will and without fear, favor, or other inducement. If we complete the rest of the election process in the same manner as we have conducted the last six general elections, we shall ever remain a shining example to the rest of the world of a people firmly wedded to the principles of democracy and the peaceful, orderly conduct of national affairs for all the times. Sir, in order that members of the House may appreciate what is being done in the research and production sector of the defense forces, I propose that batches of members of parliament who are interested in such matters may be taken to some of our production units and ordnance factories, HAL and others, to see what is being done in those places. They may also visit some of our research laboratories where important works are being done that will be appreciated by the honorable members of the House, and I may start this practice from this session itself, and honorable members who are interested in visiting some such undertakings could write to me about their intentions, but certain amount of secrecy has to be maintained, of course not from the members of the parliament, and therefore I propose to take them where to see those things, but certainly they cannot be included in the report. So although we do not intend to have secrecy from the members of parliament, we will have to maintain secrecy from the public, because once it goes to the public, it cannot go to other countries as well. As I have said, we have to constantly modernize the army, the air force and navy. We have a large coastline of nearly 5,700 kilometers, and the Indian Ocean has assumed greater importance after the development of what is known as Diego Garcia. It is fortunate that many nations, which are small nations and even others, unreservedly declared that Indian Ocean should be maintained as a zone of peace. It is further encouraging that US President has made a declaration to that effect, and he is trying to have detonate with USSR so that big powers may treat the Indian Ocean as a zone of peace. The Indian Ocean is a vast expanse, and apart from our territorial waters, every nation is free to take ships in the Indian Ocean. We have some responsibility of this area to see what are the vessels which are present in the Indian Ocean. That itself is a big task which has fallen on us. We are trying to equip our navy so that it can discharge the duties which have been case on it. There is no doubt that we have aged ship in our navy and we are gradually replacing them. We have developed the capacity of manufacturing some warships in our dockyard, and we have manufactured them in our army. We have introduced new types of weaponry with electronic devices. In the field of electronics, we have made good progress, and as I have said, members who would like to visit our intentions will find that they are doing useful work and producing useful equipment. Similarly, in the Air Force, we are trying to modernize it, but that has to be done within the constraints of the financial resources available in the country and available to the armed forces. In our aeronautics division, which has done useful work, we have produced some aircraft for the use of Air Force as well as for civilians. Some friends mentioned about the aircraft produced for agricultural purposes. We have the capacity for Basant, which has been proved to be effective for agricultural purposes. Our agriculture ministry had placed an order for 100 Basants to be produced by Kanpur division of the HAL, and they had placed an order of 100 more after that, due to certain difficulties regarding subsidy that was being given to the farmers for spraying, and also not adequate funds being available with the state governments. The agricultural ministry has reduced its order from 100 to 60 only. Whether they will place further orders or not, they themselves have not been able to decide. Therefore, unless further orders are placed by the agriculture ministry after one, the work is in the Kanpur division will be very much reduced. We are anxious that our full capacity may be utilized, since our air force is an effective part of our defense forces, as it was demonstrated during the last war. Some friends have mentioned about the Mirage squadron of Pakistan. At that time also there was the Mirage squadron, but our small nets could take care of the Mirage, and we are proud of our nets. So nets are also there. I have simply mentioned one example. We should not worry because some of our neighboring countries have acquired some new ships, aircraft and weapons. Pakistan has the advantage of showing something in the various civil departments and some assistance which they have got from other countries that does not form part of their budget, so the expenditure is much larger on that. But in any developing country like India, one has to be very cautious while diverting its scarce resources to defense, whether that is absolutely necessary or not. That has been my approach in this matter. Stop.